The existentialism of chronology, an anecdotal essay. The Prime Minister told the leaders of Parliament, "Gentlemen, we are rapidly running out of time. As a matter of fact, as some of you may have already heard, the 10th of next month has been moved up to the 8th. In the world of arts, technique is everything if you have no creativity. Same in the world of academics. Okay, and same in the whole world of thought. Okay, addendum. If you don't seem to quite understand this, it's proof that you damn well do. The royal neural hierarchy. No king rules without the support of his chef. Okay, instant follow-up. Chefs and their kin can function without any assistance from above. In one sense, sad to say, but true nonetheless. A chap recently reflected, once you can think allegorically all the time, I bet you could go crazy with all the effort and expense most people have to go through. Today's creation story. Life originally told man that after he got through working, he could play, but soon added the condition that he would even have to take play seriously. A few ignored this. The existentialism of spatial relationships, an anecdotal treatise. As the music grew ominous and the gigantic enemy spaceship slowly drifted into view on the screen, one moviegoer punched his buddy and said, "Jesus, would you look at the size of that thing?" And his friend whispered back, "It's actually just a scale model." And the first guy replied, "Yeah, but still, look at the size of it." I will take that as my birthday present. That was almost the last one. And I thought, well, if it won't float. How things are, explained briefly and simply, even in non-routine areas. The single striking feature of those who are more conscious is that they are simply more conscious of how things are. Life told one man, apparently caught up in the intrigue of the mystical, if you're going to take up this kind of hobby, you're going to have to give up being sensitive and touchy. One fellow said, "I don't really object to the idea of change and evolution. If I just knew for sure, I wouldn't be left behind." One man would allow his tongue to repeat the thoughts of others only if his mind always followed it by silently adding the word sick. Or for those of you who prefer the Latin original, seek. And a viewer writes, "I must thank you for your show and all it has taught me. It has been a great relief to learn that no one else knows anything either. Thank you so much for this insight. Yours most truly, etc." Thick. Honesty is for sheep, morality is for dogs, and decency for swine. So said the head vulture to his constituency. And now this feature, how it goes according to one man. Until you're civilized, you don't worry about things. Then, once you are, you do too much. Everywhere he looked, one man saw rats, and everywhere his brother looked, he saw cats. And then their mother called out, "Okay, you two lobes, time to come in now." The existentialism of etymology, an anecdotal consumer overview. "Well, hey, man," countered the man behind the counter to the customer, "allegories aren't perfect, or they wouldn't be allegories." And the customer asked, "Then what is perfect?" And the counterman replied, "Things undescribed." So the customer said, "Okay, give me 3 to go." Compared to other creatures, man is astounding. Compared to what he could be, even more so. The difference between psychology and this kind of stuff is that psychology tries to help you better be human, while this kind of stuff helps you do better than that. Sex props up local physical conditions. Seriousness, local mental ones. A neighborhood actor mused, though we're all on stage, where is our neural prompter? I thought I was back in the opera company. How life taught local conditions to handle the overall social requirements of civilizing mortals via the crooked man principle. Just remember, said the former to the latter, you can't convert, control, or make feel guilty a straight, that is, a straightforward person. Do I have to go back and read that god-awful long title again for you to make the connection? That's right, crackled the evil one, looking in from afar. Keep 'em blinking and always looking off. Can we do the whole thing over? I believe I will. Try it faster. The title is connected to the body of the work, as always. Notwithstanding some of you people's smart aleck thoughts. So you gotta, I'll read it quickly and try to listen even quicklier. How life taught local conditions to handle the overall social requirements of civilizing mortals via the crooked man principle. Just remember, said the former to the latter, you can't convert, control, or make feel guilty a straight, that is, a straightforward person. That's right, crackled the evil one, looking in from afar. Keep 'em blinking and always looking off. Reflected the king upon hearing this. No wonder my own in-house priest story of creation doesn't make any sense. Fact, genes have names, but men don't know what they are. Okay, a few do. Core time and wraparound time. A quick anecdotal look. One man said to his mind, since intelligence itself has been around longer than I have personally, tell me, is it hard getting old? And his mind replied, I'm the wrong one to ask. I'm dead already. And the man said, oh, I knew that. No one cares what the simple have to say other than the other equally simple. And no one at all cares what the non-simple might say. Instant analysis. Well, Bill, I'd say that's fair enough, wouldn't you? Well, G-Rock, that's a tough one. Back to you. We now interrupt our regular programming to bring you this important late-breaking human news story. The whole world's a cliche. A quick test, should you ever want one, to determine just how much local smart people in your area actually know. Do they know that all of existence, including the human area of smartness, is simply a struggle for dominance? Yeah, I thought not. One guy told his cousin, who was sometimes kind of weird, you know you can keep screwing around with your mind until you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Until you don't know what the hell you're doing. And his cousin replied, what the hell are you talking about? And the dog by the door muttered, watch where the hell you're walking. And that about concludes the story. According to one legend, one day someone asked God, what would be required if you did decide that man should progress faster than he is now? And God looked around and replied, some additional help. The thing that makes funny stuff funny is that it's true. A lad and his insight, yep, another personal anecdote. One day a kid suddenly thought, If people actually learned anything in schools, then the schools wouldn't have to issue diplomas and degrees to prove it. From one view, there is actually extant more justice in the blind mechanical operations of mere physical survival than there is in man's civilized, enlightened judicial concepts, in that the former afford wide, more relaxed areas of neither all black or white, this or that, right or wrong, than does man's mental concepts. This is witnessed by the fact that life does not condemn the dumb to dumb themselves to death. Faster, see? Today's myth. Originally, men were given the job of being inventors, but most became discoverers. A few held out. Every little thing people do, they do for a variety of reasons. They actually do them for only one reason, but see it as being for a variety. Today's inspirational personal anecdote. Once upon a time, a man wrote God and asked, "Does it count if you're just naturally kind and considerate?" And God wrote him back, "Most certainly it does, just the same as if you're naturally mean and malicious." A little off-the-record item. One day God wrote this show and asked, "Just what you got against personal anecdotes anyway?" Lip-to-lip legend has it that at one ancient mystical school, the graduating class one year was so advised, "If any of you ever want to get publicly famous and popular, die quick." And one part of one man's mind told another part of his mind, "Now don't you pay no attention to nutty stories like that." Yes, has been noted that a man's mind is his castle, but at local levels this is true only if his castle is forever crumbling. One man began to run so short of time that he substituted a cucumber. One chap's free observation for our fine audience. Realizing just how dense, turgid, and uninterested are the minds of ordinary men can be a most liberating experience. A certain kid with new glasses thought, "Seeing how the serious drowned in their own bile seems to somehow make it easier for me to float." The title of his optometrist yet to be released CD is, "Only the Stupid Believe That Other People Are Stupid," on purpose, or by accident, or some other reason. A more conscious intellect disassembles routine reality, while civilization's continually trying to patch it up and hold it together. Once upon a time, a band of neural frontiersmen began to feel that local conditions was discriminating against them for their efforts, but then realized it was just ignoring them. Another maxim updated for your maximum use and enjoyment. Tis been said that a man kills the thing he loves, but it should read, an extremely stupid man kills the thing he loves. How the mind normally works, couched in commercial terms. It will pay for anything, just as long as it doesn't have to pay for it. See, that was how the mind works. I think it was an allegory. Of course, any of you bankers or people in serious retail business, check with a dictionary. There is such a word. Mysticism is the supreme form of creativity in that each mystic creates his own whole new world. Also, should you care for a wider, more materialistic description, we could define mysticism as nonpartisan religion, non-party politics, and reality without a spin to it. One man adopted a policy of, "I don't read anyone who's dumber than me." His library card expired in 1948. Today's opinion poll. The best thing about being a fake mystic is that the kinds of things you think you've discovered are so weird that no one will pay any attention to you. with a margin of error of plus or minus no percent. That is that why Tinseltown transcendentals always construct false fronts for their Potemkin villages? My boy, at times your scintillating circular redundancy takes on the glow of downright genius. The road to myth is paved with hope. The road to hope is paved with belief. The road to belief is paved with fear, and the road to fear is paved with fear. In spite of the direction this notation took, there is also a road from myth on to someplace else. Okay, a final, what it's not based, definitive look at it one more time. Anyone who listens to anyone else is not a mystic. Oh, all right, an absolute final one. A mystic alone is responsible for what he is. So, okay, all right, there you are, fini already. Picking up from last time, and for your dancing enjoyment, I included a version of it again tonight, that you could look at real mysticism, or if you prefer, or a mystic if you want it in a personalized way, or in a less mortal form, transcendental thinking. You can see it as being the ultimate form, the supreme form of creativity, in that it, or a mystic, creates his whole new personal reality. And I almost left us at the point last time of pointing out from a quite ordinary sane view, me playing the part of an ordinary sane person. Was it a stretch for you? No problem. Took a few drugs, but it's all right. Okay. I think in show business, that's what's known as a pain in the side. An ass side? Where is Shakespeare? Where is Shakespeare or Stanislavski when you need them? Dead. Back to where we were. I was taking the view for all the ordinary people and pointing out that it is indeed fair to point out a distinct parallel between that description of me saying, all right, a mystic. Let's go back to a simple personal. A mystic is not someone who goes out and discovers some reality behind reality, that discovers some great secret that's been hidden from ordinary humanity. What a mystic does that is so creative is that he simply invents his own whole new world, reality. And pointing out that that fits, by any reasonably sophisticated definition, insanity. We're talking about serious psychosis, not just neurosis. We're talking about the big time. That is insane. An ordinary man can say, well, hey, they locked up my brother for that. He goes around believing that he is living in 17th century France, and he thinks that he is Marie Antoinette's illegitimate lover. And they locked him up. As well they should, or at least keep him away from our neighborhood. You don't want to live with him. So it would almost sound, where I was leaving you, that there is a disturbing similarity between insanity and my definition of what a mystic is. That it's not that he has discovered anything new or anything hidden. It's not that he has discovered facts. The myth tonight, if those of you that caught any connection, was today's myth. That life originally gave men the job of being inventors, but most became discoverers. A few held out. That is the mythological creation story of mystics. That life originally told everyone, all right, go be a Thomas Edison, let's say. And they end up being a Balboa, a De Soto. That instead of inventing, they go out and discover. Which is all right, but it's not the same thing. To invent something is not the same as to go out and discover and come back and say, I discovered the world's largest ocean, which the Pacific was. So we're not taking anything away from great discoverers, but that is not the same as going out and inventing an ocean. Or cold fusion, if you would like it in a more manageable form that you could do at home. It is not the same. The whole idea of mysticism, whatever it's called, you do understand, has always been, and it's very difficult for you to pull your mind away from it. The genetic base of your own intelligence, it's hard for you to pull it away from the concept that, all right, the whole idea of mysticism and everything is that there is something to be discovered. And it can be described in all kinds of ways. I can almost make it sound funny sometimes at a very crude level and say, yeah, everyone believes that there is a secret book of the world's information, the information to do with creation, and it's somewhere. It's hidden. Historically, from the Western view, it was in Tibet, India, hidden somewhere. And it's not just to make light of that. It is built in for very good physical reasons, but it comes out mythologically, and then it's taken as being literal, that the whole idea of being, or the whole concept of knowing something extraordinary would be to rediscover this, to find it, to reconnect yourself to it. That's a discovery, which sounds astounding. It's a great little hobby to even think about. But that is not the same, according to my myth tonight, as man's original job was to invent, not discover. Because I got news for you, there's no such thing as discovery. There's rediscovery. But at any rate, the ultimate form of creativity, the ultimate form of being a human, is invention, not discovery. The ultimate form of that then, or the supreme form, then would be mysticism, by whatever name, which would be that each mystic, the definition being, he has invented, he has concocted, he has invented his own whole new reality. So now we're left with this not unfair question. Then how would we distinguish between that and insanity? Of course, there's a simple answer to that. See, if you can't already distinguish, you're about nuts anyway, so. But that's unfair because the answer to every question is obvious as hell. But until you realize it, I'll go ahead and I'll answer it for you. The difference between, not to make light, because there's a purpose here having to do with the chemical, electrical, neural operations of the human brain. So I'm not making light of the idea of insanity and the parallel. It is most revealing if you have the kind of mind that can unpeel and reveal. Insanity, the height, the supreme form of insanity, I'm describing two things. I said the supreme form of creativity is mysticism. All right, the supreme form of insanity fits almost the same definition. That is that people, a neurosis is sort of that you have trouble with ordinary things, that you're prone to overdo that which is in life, to have phobias. But an extreme, the supreme form of real insanity, not to play with words, but insanity is simply that of people who no longer live in everyday reality. People who imagine that you walk into their cell or their room at the hospital and they've got a cardboard box on their head and they believe that they're Captain Bligh. And they're treating you like, close that, that the wind's coming through, or they see storms out the window. That they are living in an absolutely invented world. Right? Just what I described as mysticism. But there is, believe it or don't, a slight, albeit somewhat telling, distinction. The mystic has invented his whole new world, but remember, we are living in two worlds, the neural and the basic survival, the primary. A mystic does not confuse the two. A mystic still lives in everybody else's reality, wherever the hell it is. If he's in Rome, he's living in an Italian reality. If he is in Russia, circa 1690, he is a 17th century Russian, as far as the way he lives. To be otherwise is insane. To be otherwise already has taken a large bite, if not crippled, being a mystic. I'll refer you back, those of you that prefer Western religious and Greek, the whole idea of, I think from the New Testament, of when in Rome, do as the Romans do. That's it. That is a mystic. That part, I'm sure there's been whole sermons, if not churches, based on that, or whole factions. Like, God, is that astounding? I mean, that's astounding. It's like If you're hungry, eat. But to look for any great mystical significance beyond that, when in Rome do as Romans do, that is, you don't have to tell a mystic that. Once you have invented your own reality, then a part of it is you no longer, if you already had any sort of problems, the problem of living out there in Rome is not the problem. So that's the difference between the ordinarily insane, as they're called. They are not living out in everyone else's reality. A real mystic, from the level of consciousness down, I don't have to draw it, from here down, from down at the physical level down, the primary physical survival level, from here down, he lives in everyone's reality. Well, I can put it in more mystical terms. He doesn't give a rat's ass what the reality is. As long as it's not hurting him, and we're assuming he's living in a civilized, he wouldn't be out living with insane idiots and madmen and criminals anyway, in the full sense of the word. In other words, he will be living, if he's not out alone, being a real hermit. Not a fake one, but a real hermit. But as long as he's living somewhere, he's going to be living in a civilized area. He wants to be surrounded by those who are not mystics. He wants to be surrounded by those kind of nice and hypnotized and drugged and dazed, dressed up in suits, good jobs, serious people. And he lives in that world. You would be absolutely insane. The guy that believes he's Captain Bligh, he's nothing. A mystic would be absolutely insane to be interfering or to be living in any world other than what everyone else's reality is. Well, to begin with, from here down, he's living in the reality of survival. You do understand that. That's why I keep pointing out that there is no joy to be had, no benefit to be had to try and play around with the survival level. Ordinary people, it doesn't matter. But if you think that in some way, if you're trying to increase your consciousness and you think, well, I'll do it by eating more, eating less, eating this, eating that, staying on my head, going without sleep, sleeping more, you'll be a hobby mystic. You'll be a weekend warrior. That's all. Because there is no joy from here down. There's nothing to be done. Now, even from here up, now we're getting to the world of invention. We're getting into the world that there seems to be some degree of looseness in the machinery of life, that apparently you can think in ways that are extremely divergent from your neighbor. Whereas from here down, if you're sane at all, what you eat, what you do to stay alive does not vary from now till 1,000 years hint in the past or on the other side of the world. But from here up, evidently, you can live next door to someone who claims to be a certain kind of religious person, certain kind of believer in some political theory, and you can hold just an opposing view, and both of you be relatively sane. So there appears to be a certain amount of freedom up here, just lacking down here, on a sane basis. But up here, a mystic has invented he has created his whole new world. I'll try to talk faster because this is completely beyond words, but we can sure outline it. He has created his own new world, not in reaction to the world out here, because that is not creativity. If you're going to engage in neural creativity, if you were to actually become a transcendental thinker, a mystic, if you're actually to be more conscious, more awake, you have to be past the point neurally of simply reacting to everyone else's reality. Not only have you got to not be critical, that's what I've been laying on for a long time, but you have got to be beyond simply reacting. That is, you can't be either pro or con, which is just sort of an expanded version of critical. So a mystic does not come along. I was trying to give you the example last time of saying that in one sense, if it sounds strange to begin with about me saying the mystic actually creates his own reality, then I was pointing out using an example such as, an Abraham saying, wait a minute, all of our forefathers and all the people here, they've been worshiping whatever the hell it was, 227 gods. No. One. That's a whole new reality. Or Jesus saying, well, everyone said an eye for an eye and kill your enemies. Love them. That's a whole new reality. He has created it. But it was not, I'm trying to get you now into a more subtle area, it was not simply because he looked around and thought, well, I've got to reform all this. They're misled. He knew they weren't misled. But he knew one thing. He had to create his own new reality or he would never become more conscious. You can't become more conscious. You cannot become a mystic with the reality in which you're born. So this is where, I know it gets tricky, but you guys have got tricky brains, some of you. You understand a Jesus, even though I pointed out, I've been kind of leading you along that little path. Now some of you suspected something. But a Jesus or an Abraham or Muhammad saying, well, here it is, and he apparently presented a whole new model of the religious universe. He said, here it is. And it almost as though, I was threw it in the last several weeks, but you can see it in one sense that it's a reform. It's an attempt to reform, to rejuvenate, to repair, to return a religion, a culture, back to its original basis. But it's not really. Now, it looks that way externally. That's why I said it, you can see it that way. But I am telling you that the individual involved, a Muhammad, a Buddha, an Abraham, Moses, Jesus, they were not reacting to their time, their conditions. Not in the sense that they were trying to reform it. They knew it wasn't hurt. They knew it wasn't crippled. They knew everything was fine, or they wouldn't have gotten that far. But they also finally came to this, that this is not going to do me one goddamn bit of good. Because you've already, all of you been through this, I'll repeat it again, you've already been through trying to track, trying to follow your father's religion, trying to follow your father's occult bent, trying to follow whatever it was, and then you find, well, no, they're not going to take me there. So then you, and to some degree, one way or the other, then for a while you play, you know, like, well, screw them. Well, boy, I've been misled, or the church is dumb, or my parents are dumb, or that won't get you there. As all of you should know by now. Many people, many people, just everyday teenage horny artists get that far. And then they never get much further. In fact, you can find them, sad to say, 40 years later, they're 65 years old with a beret to cover their bald spot on their head and a goatee and cheap wine, and they're still, whenever they can get, you know, the arthritis out of their leg or their liver calmed down, they're out marching, you know, protesting against, you know, the establishment. See, it didn't do any good to protest against the establishment individually when they were 19. And here they are, 59, doing it, which is what kind of makes them quaint and cute. And that a whole new generation, somebody young enough to be their grandchildren, will come along and adopt them as a poet in residence. Or maybe a wino poet in residence. Like, isn't he cute? I mean, the old man's still pissed, just like us. As long as there's something else I was talking about, don't lose your place, but I was pointing out that at the, you understand, from the level down, from the physical level, from the primary survival level, what passes, the basis, very specifically, of what appears to be all creative efforts, all art and music, comes more directly at the younger years simply from sex, which is the ultimate creative energy. I mean, that's beyond even mysticism. It's beyond everything. Or, if you want to look at it this way, it's at the heart of everything. You couldn't be a mystic unless somebody had been screwing around before you got here. Had it not been for sex energy exercised to its fullest on the part of two, yes, count them, two people, you wouldn't be here to be a Picasso. A would-be Picasso. So sexual energy is, at the physical level, without any question, it is the ultimate. I mean, it doesn't have any competitors, but it is the ultimate creative energy. And thus you have, as I was pointing out, you have the biggest spurts. Pardon the... Too late now. The biggest spurts of creative energy is at the time when, in the past it's been mostly men, because women, well, not that women don't spurt, but it's that, see, I was going to say is it's been men who have been the artists, the public art. It's been men who have been the public artists, and since we're now in the age of people wondering about such as this, you understand that has nothing to do with the whole idea of the distaff side of life and somebody being held down or suppressed in their creative energies, because anybody thinks that. Well, you can be a feminist or something on the side as a hobby, but you're an idiot. You're blind. Because a man, the greatest symphonist in the world, I mean, who can forget? You know, Merle Haggard's Third Symphony. All right, Beethoven, Mozart, Rembrandt, and all that. As astounding as that is, in one real sense, as I point out, it pales, but besides simply a woman going, whoop, there it is, and drop a kid. I mean, we're talking about serious creativity. And so it's unfair to say, well, life is held down. That's why we didn't have a female Michelangelo. Is it, the Italians and the people of her time was tying women down, keeping them barefoot and pregnant, or was that North Carolina? It could have been North Venice, but it kept them there. But back to it, I'm just assuming you can all hear female and male. But it's been males who visibly, it's just the easiest to talk about because women produce children and that's it. Everything else is a pale imitation. I mean, a woman, if you're looking at creativity now at the primal level, the primary level, which is sexual, that is the ultimate creation. In one sense, you can look at it as they had a superior position, and it's been men in the inferior position. It's not true, but just to show you how you can look at it from different ways. And it's been men that thought, Jesus, I can't have a kid. I'll paint the Mona Lisa. I'll paint the Last Supper. I'll build the Parthenon. That it's almost like a cheap, well, I can't have a kid, so I'll do something creative out here that you can see. Something I made up. Back to that, which is what we're talking about, because we're talking about now getting up into this area, which is above, not better, but it's different from simply physical procreation. We're talking about the creativity now getting up here, and the public side of it, back to where we were, has always been men. It's just when women, their creativity was having children, and it's been men who've done the public. Then I was trying to get you to see that also that the men, the greatest, I won't say spurts, what's the synonym? The greatest spurts of creativity with men come at the same time, did it again. Come at the same time as the height of their sexual desires. The teens, the early 20s. But that's just bring us up to speed. Come on, calm down. What I was trying to get you to see based on that also is, tied to that is, I was also pointing out that all artists, in one way or the other, that are really involved, you figure out, real artists, always feel that there's a touch of the metaphysical somewhere, or the mystical, even if they don't really pursue any sort of secret occult school or something, but they always feel it. Or they want to describe that the muse or somebody I can't describe when I can really write, when I can really play, when I'm really dancing, when I'm really painting, it's almost as though some other power. And I always feel like they won't do something. If you ask them a little bit, would you ever feel like is there really more a message to your painting than just paint thrown on the canvas like that looks like just somebody just. The guy goes, yeah, I know what you mean. That's technique, but there is something. And you say, well, I get the feeling that you're trying to express some sort of, and it helps it's good to sort of help most artists along verbally. No offense, but if you say, well, I look at that, and yeah, I know what you mean. The technique up here is that somebody just threw paint on the canvas. That's no secret. And the guy goes, yeah. You go, but yet, I look at it, and for some reason, even before I met you, I felt like you were trying to express, something about the tension of being alive. And you go, yeah. It's like maybe you're seeking a release maybe on a higher plane than just available here at the 2 or even 3-dimensional canvas plane is represented by the canvas. He goes, yeah. And I'm not making fun of it. Because the closer you are, the closer you feel, the closer you sense that you are to the creative flow, the more you're inclined to, if you do not bring it up yourself, the more that you are open to someone saying, well, your music sometimes. I sit and listen to your music, and I mean, it's fun. I go and get up and dance sometimes, and I whistle, and yet sometimes it almost, I don't know, it makes me almost want to cry, or sometimes it almost puts me in a state of meditation or a trance. And I go, yeah. And he's not just being braggadocious, he's not just trying to make a cheap shot. An artist, the closer you are to that, and enough of you've got talent, you know it, that it just feels like, or even sports sometimes, a little cruder level, but the whole idea of running or doing something to the point that just suddenly it's almost mystical, almost magical, that you've run past the point that you could normally run. You've never run 9 miles at one time in your life, and one day for some reason you do, and that's like you almost can't stop. It's almost as though somebody had taken over your feet, and that now it's like a whole other state of consciousness, or it's getting close. Tied to that, and remember, we're talking about now not the mystical side, we're back to what appears to be, by ordinary definitions, the ordinary displays of artistic creativity. And I'm saying it is the more it is there, just from an ordinary view, the closer it is to sexual energy, which is the basis of all creativity. What then you have artists doing, the younger artist, is they always look upon it as being part of their job as an attempt to reform the world. Now, that's a little bit different. It's a little more specific than what I just pointed out, that they are quite open to if they do not take it upon themselves overtly the mantle of being mystically inclined or mystically driven. They are quite open to a critic or someone saying, I get more from your music. I sense more from your writing. I know it's a novel, and it was interesting, and it was a little, but I keep sensing that you're up to more than just writing a novel. And he'll go, yeah. Even if he can't say what, he goes, yeah. Because he didn't write just a novel. People do not become artists. It's easy to call them Philistines after they get popular, but no one becomes an artist simply for money. Well, they didn't do it for money. It's dropped to simply. That's not how it starts out. Women don't have children for money, which is about this. It'd be equal to attacking somebody and say, well, he sold out. I used to like his music when he was playing down the street at that coffee shop and nobody had listened to him. But now, 2 years later, that son of a bitch got a contract with Warner Brothers or Elektra. Now he's hot. But hey, his music's not the same. He sold out. That's like saying a woman sold out. Well, she had a baby. I mean, she was fine. She was attractive, and I wanted to get her in bed, but now she got married and had a baby. Oh, she sold out.
No.
I didn't think you'd get that. The point is, artist. Sexual energy. If you want to follow the sequence right quick, it's sexual energy. The artist is simply an outlet for it. Energy is not there to be popular, is not there to be commercial, and therefore all artists, enough of you have been through various stages of it. You can end up, very likely, when you're not making a big living at it or making any living, is then you want to play some form of, well, you people had your chance. Where do I sell out? Where do I sell out? That is not why people do it. People do not start playing guitar, trying to compose music, paint, dance, anything that just by the ordinary definition is created. They do not start out on the basis, I want to be rich. Now we could say a quick serious sidestep. If you want to say fame, fame on the basis of sex, which is all fame is. You get old enough, you get past the sexual stage, and people want to be famous just because they want to be famous. It's just a dream state of them still wishing they could get laid more. Because that's why people, insofar as the creative spirit is coming out in a teenager, let's say. But if you say, well, what is it besides the idea that you have something that you want to express? Because they'll all go, yeah, and I can't say quite what it is, and go, yeah. And you say, well, what else is it? And I know it sounds like a joke, and it always gets a laugh, but it's true. And most of the guys will say, well, I always want to be a musician because I want to get laid. That is not just a joke. It is sexual energy. They end up with a feeling that they want to reform the world, that is part of the job. As obscure as it may seem to those not connected or closely connected enough to it, but you look at a Pollock, and you can say, well, that is nothing but somebody throwing paint. You're going to tell me that's his attempt to reform the world? Yes. It was originally. Or you could listen to Schoenberg and you say, you call that music? That doesn't make sense. There's no harmony in there, not real harmony. What the hell do you call that? It was an attempt to reform the world. It is a new generation of sperm, a new generation of sexual energy attempting to knock down the previous one. And the artists feel it is my job. No matter how they put it, they will admit to this as readily or more so than giving them some credit for being at least mystically oriented. As quickly or more so if you say, well, I can tell what you're doing. I mean, you're trying to shove it to the establishments, what that painting says. I mean, it can look like absolutely just, Pollock, just a drip painting or a thrown on the wall. And you say, I see what's there. What you're saying is to the establishment. And any artist say, yeah. Or composer, whatever it is, if they're truly trying to be creative. It could have been a choreographer, and you say, after you've been years of classical ballet, and you looked at somebody doing something new, and you go, well, now I got some kind of message about the difficulty and how you change the steps and the body movements from what was classical ballet. But I can tell part of what you're doing. You want to get this performed up at Carnegie Hall or wherever they do it, and what you're doing is going to the establishment. Now I'm just making a shortcut cartoon, but that is always it. A mystic is not doing that. You didn't lose your place, did you? We're back to what real creativity, or the supreme form of creativity. Not sexual. That's the supreme form at the primary survival level. So let's leave that now. And we're getting up to here. Ordinary artists, people who believe that they're involved with creativity, they are still reacting to life because they are still too closely driven by sexual energy. The connection between their sex organs and the creative area of the human mind is so closely connected that they cannot separate the two at all. And therefore they feel. Their interpretation of it is I'm trying to reform, I'm trying to straighten out, I'm trying to help reality. Whereas it's the sperm, it is the genetic growth of humanity, always expanding, always moving, always changing, and it is that going to the previous generation to various degrees. You're dead. You're done for. We don't dance like that anymore. We don't play music like that. You call that painting? Anybody can paint a face that looks like a face. Paint a face that you look at and you go, God, that's like somebody tried to paint a face and couldn't. And Picasso went, eat your heart out. He said to Rembrandt. He said to the previous generation. That is ordinary creativity, that kind of progress. That is not the supreme form. The supreme form is not even seen because that is mystical. That is individuals here and there doing it in their own mind, and they are not reforming anything. Because you are not creating, not in the sense now that I'm speaking, you're not creating if all you're doing is reforming, if all you're doing is reacting. And it doesn't have to be just critical. It can be pro, which is not normally seen as art. But the point is, you've got to finally realize the supreme form of creation is a mystic creating his own whole new reality, but still living in the ordinary one. So he's not insane. If he's in Istanbul, he's living the Istanbulish life as much as is required. He's paying for his food, if he's not growing his own, with Istanbul dollars. If he drives a car, he obeys Turkish road signs, the Turkish laws. If he thinks he'll get caught, he pays his Turkish taxes. He does all of that. It's just there's nothing to discuss. But it's up here, he has created his own new reality. Then the crucial question that people can't ordinarily never get past, not on the basis that the reality in which he was born needs help, needs reforming. If you do that, you're either just going to become an ordinary artist, or at worst, go insane. Or maybe, I don't know which is worse, or end up being a 69-year-old anti-disestablishmentarianism hippie with a bat wing of Mad Dog in your pocket, still going. Creativity at the level of the mystical, at the level of, and remember the mystical being the possibility of insight, of obtaining insight, not normally contained within human knowledge. But see, that changes. That's why each mystic has got to invent, create his own new reality. But he does not do it because he looks around and goes, well, my, here I am. What a shame I had to be born in the 19th century, in the 20th century. Shame I had to be born in Norway, in Germany, in Argentina. What a shame I had to be born right here, right now. Boy, things are in a mell of a hess. No. That is not creativity. A mystic creates his own reality for one reason. So he'll have his own reality. If you don't do that, you're stuck. You can believe, no, I'm fighting. I'm reforming things. You've already forgotten the tar baby. I don't know how that story only got credited for being several hundred years old. That story. If you want the Western version, God somewhere whispered that right to Adam and Eve when he kicked them out. Right quick. He threw out the story of the tar baby. In some way, it just kind of erased it from their minds and they couldn't remember it until... How long did that English parson say that the world had been created? Does everybody remember him? We got down and figured out the Bible, and he had it down to the day and time, and it was something like 3,700 years ago. But, never mind. But anyway, it's been that long before people remember the version of the tar baby, because you cannot create if you're a pro or con. You cannot create simply by reacting to the ordinary environment. To reality as it is now. Reality as it is now. We're talking about middle class, the majority reality, wherever we are. Venezuela, 1920. Istanbul, 1994. Whatever the prevailing reality is, that's reality. A mystic has got to create his own, not because there's anything wrong with that one. There's nothing wrong. If there's anything wrong with it, he shouldn't even be there. If there's anything wrong with it, life will do away with it. It is not in reaction to reality. He creates a whole new reality. I just gave it to you because I said he has to have his own. That didn't seem to do much. Knowing you guys, I should have made a more flippant first one. A real mystic looks around, once he understands what's going on, and he creates his own reality for one reason. Because he goes, what the hell, why not? See, I knew. See, I know you people, but now. All right, now, back to the better version of it. It's because you must. That is the basis of the belief that there is a hidden secret, something to be discovered, you understand, and also why you can't discover it. There's a difference between creation and discovery. And so you can spend your life. It can be interesting. I know how interesting. I understand how interesting it can be to go from guru to guru and pillar to post and post to guru and post to life and life to grit, grit to spit, and never mind. How it is that you're trying to uncover, trying to discover a missing link back to the past, a missing piece of information. But there is, well, you know the words, the difference between discovery. That there he is, he walks out and he says, my God, the Pacific Ocean, he discovered it. There's a difference between that and the guy going, and creating one. There is no connection. There's two different worlds. A mystic has got to create his own new reality. I'm glad I waited the last minute because there's nowhere to, I'm going to give you 4 or 5 shots. If you don't create your own reality, you can't understand reality. If you don't create your own reality, you've got nothing new. I mean, what's the point? What is you going to spend 20 or 30 years of fasting, denying yourself, beating up on yourself, kicking yourself, then trying to libertinize yourself, trying all of these, going from one mad dog teacher to another and one kind of crackpot group? You went through all that for what? That you're going to discover a secret book? A discovery? Oh, Jesus. You could have signed on with Balboa or Magellan and done that. Now, a mystic, he wants to create something. Discovery is fine as a hobby. So you can discover the last missing, whatever that stamp is with the plane upside down that's worth, $40 billion trillion. You can go discover it. No doubt about it, and that could be fun. But that's not the same as inventing. That's not the same as creating. A mystic has got to create his own reality. I was about to give you a whole handful of reasons why and ways to look at it. But you got to be able to hear it. You haven't got anything new if you don't do that. And once you see that, well, you got to experience it, but even verbally, once you see it, it should make you at least momentarily go, I should have known that. But you keep thinking. It's wired up to think, well, if there's something extraordinary, I will find it. That's what the great adventure's always been thought of. The great search, the great secret work is always, well, I'll find it. I'll discover it. See, as long as you're tied to that, you can't, because it's not a discovery. It's a creation. They say there's 3 minutes left, but that's it. Can you fill in with that organ music from the skating ring for 3 extra minutes? Well, no. I'll go ahead and do a little of that redundancy that, according to one man tonight, can verge upon genius. The basis of all religions, the basis of all extraordinary thoughts, models, paradigms of reality at the time. Now, once it's been done and it's afterwards, you can't get anything out of it. But it still has the traces, it still has the aroma of the original creativity, which is what drags people to religions, or what drags people to a mystical book or some remembered system that can be 3,000 years old. And people still go to the grave of the guy that supposedly wrote it, and they'll stand there and say, well, I feel something, or they'll crawl there and lay flowers, or meditate. It still has an aroma. There's a little reality. It's meaningless if you want more, if you're actually trying to eat. But the creativity that was there originally was so strong that it can whiffed out the aroma thousands of years hence, and people still go, God, that's weird. God, that's intriguing. Jesus, if I had just barely missed it. If I'd been born 2,500 years before, I could have seen Buddha. Because just reading it now, it just almost knocks me down. But what if I'd been there and he could have told me that in person? Which sounds fine to you. You think, well, if that's what he said and that's astounding, what else would he have said? Yeah, but it had to be different. Yeah, it was different because he made it up. He made it up then. He created that at the time. No. He didn't create it. He discovered, he realized what was wrong with the prevailing, as they were known then, as just the general Vedic literature and what came to be known later as Hinduism. Their rituals, the mechanical, ritualistic behavior. He saw the flaws in it, and he discovered the truth in it. No! He created a whole new truth. And the mind just rejects it. Even, you got to be past just a weekend would-be mystic. You got to be into almost Monday morning. You got to be better. Because the mind just goes, no. Reality can't, especially super reality, mystical reality. It's not something you make up. It's something you have to work for. You have to discover. I know. That's why ordinary people can't discover it. That's why even would-be mystics can't discover it. Why? I just told you. Because there's nothing to discover. Those who do it create one. There is no such thing as Buddhism until Buddha created it. Seems simple enough. And the mind goes, well, oh yeah, I mean, that's some kind of Zen crap you're doing, but here's the real thing. That's why if you're a follower of Buddhism, even he said this, or many of them said it, but he said, if you ever follow Buddha, you missed it. That's him saying, if you ever become a Buddhist, you're done for. I would have wasted my time. He said that, and they wrote it all down. As soon as he died, they published it and sold it. And the mind still will just go, well, yeah, I can hear that. Okay, I'll watch it. I'll be careful. There's no watching it. You create your own. That's what it is. And that's why it is. I'll admit, it's sometimes can be kind of tricky to try and find your way and discover it.